How did you start making music?
Well, I started a long time ago when I was a teenager, listening to Tupac and Snoop Dogg and all of them. Eventually I got turned on to X-Rated back in 96, I think, 95, by a gangster. He showed me that, and I was like, ended up learning the words to the song on a whole tape. It blew my mind. And I started changing the words from his words to my words or my name, which until got me learning how to use wordplay and twisting things up and having to rap on beat. And before you know it, me and my best friend Andy Govea, also known as AG, I talk about in my songs, he and me would rap walking down the street to these songs that we had memorized from X-Rated, but he'd throw his name AG and I'd throw my name BLACC C or C, and before you know it, I was rapping.
What's your favorite song you made?
It's a good question. I had a friend ask me that before, and I didn't really know. I thought I liked them all, but the other day I realized I liked A Long Way Home. It's one of my favorite songs. It just, everything about it touches home. It really emphasizes who I am as an artist and also my struggles of coming up in Hillsborough and the things that I went through as a young youth.
I can do it by myself, I don't need nobody's help. A long way home. I can do it all alone, I could do it all alone. Time for me to change it up, it's been a hard life. Time for me to pour out all that stuff up in my cup.
Who or what are some of your inspirations?
My biggest inspiration would have to be X-Rated and Eminem. Their comical aspects on music and storytelling, it really opened up my eyes to wanting to keep on rapping. There was a time in my life where I was gonna stop, and I heard Eminem come out, and I was like, no way. How can you really make music being so funny and comical and not take things serious? And when X-Rated came back out later on that year from prison with a better quality, I realized to myself that if this man could be in prison and still make good music, then why am I complaining about making music? I should be able to just dust off my boots and go back out there and go to war and make more music. So I took a little bit of the Eminem comical with the X-Rated determination and by any means, and I made BLACC CZA.
What's your goal with music?
My goal is just to be heard, recognized for what I can do. I don't really want to be famous, but I really don't want to sell myself short either. My real goal is possibly, making a living off music and being able to do what I love to pay the bills, and travel with my family, really, at the end of the day. But if I don't, as long as I can make music, I'm pretty happy.
What artists would you like to work with?
I've looked into doing a collab with X-Rated, and he doesn't charge that much. Maybe a couple grand, I can get a verse, and I could have a collab with one of my favorite artists of all times. Obviously Eminem is out of the question unless he reached out to me, but it's kind of how I feel.
What are some of the things you did to get where you are today?
Definitely did a lot of footwork. I used to be in a crew called ABR, Aggressive Block Writers, on an application called BandLab, and I networked with several artists, underground artists, doing a bunch of collabs. We must have made over 200 songs in a collective of all of us, and I was on the majority of them. And I used to help them engineer their songs and mix and master their songs because they all were recording on phones, and I was like one of the only ones that had a studio, me and a couple of artists on the group. That was huge, and that Intel taught us about Spotify and iTunes and distributors and how to get on Spotify to actually make money from our music. This right here was, the Big Bang pretty much theory of our group to make us move forward into actually upping our game in production and trying to make our music sound a little more, sellable. That was the hiatus, and since then I started a playlist, and I started doing playlisting with other curators on Spotify, networking with other independent artists on Facebook and Instagram, And just it's been going on like that for the past 5 years. Now I'm into content creation and vlogging, and just, you know, overall working on trying to get myself out there for my fans and new viewers and listeners, so that I'm not just in the same little pocket.
What's some advice you would give to a newer artist?
I would tell a new artist, you know, try to work on something that you can give away to other artists to help get into the social network. Because if you don't have something you can give away for free, there's a big possibility no one's going to really take time out to give you their free time. The more you work with other artists, the more you're going to find a fan base. Work on collabs with other artists so you can get a piece of their fan base. It doesn't matter if that artist has only 500 listeners. You know, that's 500 more than you had before you started. Work with artists that are within your means and budget-wise, so that way you don't have to stretch yourself too thin. And definitely work on production. Production is going to probably be the key component to your success. Because with poor production, it doesn't matter how good you are. If no one can listen to it, it's not going to work. Bottom line.
How do you come up with ideas for a song?
A lot of my songs come up, you know, with the name of the beat. If the beat is named something that I feel that is deemed worthy for a title of a song, I'm going to pretty much use it. I feel like the producer had something in mind when he made the beat, and he names a beat a certain thing. So I normally go with that. If that's not it, then I'll just say some things and work on some different melodies and cadences and just freestyle to the beat until something sticks. And then that's what I go for. And then in the past, I've freestyled so many bars on a song, and then if I like that, I'll just take that and I'll copy and paste it and make it the hook.
Is it important to have other friends in the music industry that can help you?
It is very important to have other friends in the music industry, because without a team, you're solo, and solo independent artists don't make it that far. You can ask any independent artist who's made any type of traction in the industry, they had a team, whether it was a producer, whether it was an engineer, a graphic designer, a videographer, you know, anybody who had some type of other skill that they did not possess. You know, I mean, yeah, anybody can make music, but can you really distribute it out to other people to listen to without a team of people who believe in you? Because if no one believes in you and you only one believes in you, it's going to be hard. Eventually you'll get somewhere, but you ain't going to get where you need to be without having a group of people who are willing to work with you and show you how to get to the next level. Because everyone has a piece of the pie.
Some of your music has comedy and is a little crazy, but other parts are relatable and deep. Why is that?
I like to believe that I'm versatile, that I have a crazy side from when I was young and the youth. So, you know, it's kind of like the Eminem Slim Shady type take on things. I have the BLACC CZA, and then I have the Clown, and then I have the Mike Creighton. Just, you know, the more relatable based on my real life, comical. And then I have the BLACC CZA's more gangster, gritty, kind of when I grew up in the neighborhood doing gang activity and, you know, hanging out with the rough crowd. That is where I get that from. Seeing things that shouldn't have been seen and doing things that shouldn't have been done.
What was it like growing up in your neighborhood?
It was pretty rough. It was a lot of gangs, street gangs, bunch of essays that they ran packs, and you had to either, you know, pick a side or be picked on. I mean, bottom line. I was fortunate that I had a gift to gab. I had a lot of weed, so I was able to supply a lot of the gangsters with weed and kind of get them off my back so they can have a reason not to, you know, pick fights with me. And I started my own little clique called First Street, which until kept, you know, me with a group of my own individual people, and we would walk around packs so that we'd, you know, make it through the stuff. And, you know, we had issues off and on with some of the BGs and stuff, but at the end of the day, I rose to, you know, enough notoriety that they respected me. And at the end of the day, I never really got jumped or anything. But then again, I wasn't out there running my mouth trying to get in more problems than I could handle. So it was rough, but we definitely, as a group, as a squad that I had, we definitely held it together and made it through.
How did you come up with the name BLACC CZA?
That's a funny one. I used to be BLACC C, and if anybody knows about RBL Posse, BLACC C was the only surviving member of that squad. They did the song Blueprint on My Shoulder, Don't Give Me No Bama Weed. They're from the Bay, and when I made my name BLACC C, the artist, he spelt it a little different than me. I spelled mine different, but I felt like if I was going to take this music thing to the next level, I needed to make sure that I had a name that was unique and standard away from everything else. So I made BLACC CZA kind of a twist on, you know, RZA and GZA and all of them from the East Coast, but like with my own little twist because I'm from the West Coast. And at the end of the day, a lot of people think it's BLACC CZA because of the way it sounds, but I call it CZA just because I want to be unique. I figure with the name CZA and the way I say it and the way it's spelled, if you call me BLACC CZA, you mess with my music, but if you call me BLACC CZA, you've never heard my music.
What's your next step in your career?
The next step is probably a documentary about my life and times of who I was and how I came to be BLACC CZA, and maybe a trip through my neighborhood and how I saw it and how things went for me. Also, more collabs with the younger artists in the game coming up to kind of solidify myself in the industry of independent artists and stuff. That's kind of where I see the future being.
Where do you see yourself in 5 years from right now?
5 years from now, I see myself doing more content on a higher scale with better production. I find myself doing hopefully like commercials, even maybe movie skits, you know, get into like short film, maybe even building my own little production company so I can do little short films, comical but also gritty, using independent artists' music and the music for the soundtrack, so that way I can help an indie artist kind of blow up on short film.
Do you believe in God?
God is definitely a belief of mine. I've dealt with AA and sobriety, so spirituality and having a higher power has always been something that I believe in. You know, people would think some of my music seems as though I don't believe in God, but I definitely have a belief of God and a higher power and have faith. So, yeah.
Well, we're done, Michael. Thank you. This was a pleasure.
Welcome.